Hello friends, my name is Ali. I am the owner and maker behind Ali Mackenzie Crafts, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am actually recording this intro after the fact for my market because, as I talk about in a few of the clips that you're going to see next, we had a major power outage here in my house last week. We lost power for 23 hours, which set me behind in various ways. But one thing that it did was set me behind on my editing and posting schedule that I had set up for myself. And so now I am continuing on that kind of behind schedule. And I didn't get to record an intro before my 2-day market weekend because I needed to focus on getting what little content I was able to achieve for this video and running the market, getting ready for it, and then being present at the market itself. So I'm recording the intro after the fact. You will see me again at the end of the video to go over the market results. I'm just going to give you a little bit of information about the market itself. This market was a 2-day market event that I had both Saturday and Sunday over the weekend. It ran from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. both days, and it was located at a local farm market. So they have an indoor part that has all of their greenhouse and seeds and houseplants and everything. They have outdoor plants throughout the season, and they have a bake shop and kind of food area as well. So it's a nice place in our local area. We have a couple of these farm markets actually. It's a pretty nice part of living in kind of a farm country area. I grew up in Lancaster County itself, which is known for its Amish population and farms, and I haven't moved too far from there. So it's nice to be able to go to these different farm stands, but it does mean that because it was located at a farmer's market, that perhaps the people and what they were willing to spend didn't quite match with my inventory, and I'll talk about that a little more at the end. But for now, I'm going to throw it to past Ali, where I talk about what I'm doing to get ready the night before and head into my market weekend. So I'll see you all at the end of the video. It is the night before my 2-day market event this weekend, and I wanted to hop on and show a few items that I was able to make this week. Unfortunately, I wanted to record a multi-day lead up to the market this weekend, but we lost our power for 23 hours. And so there was an entire day and evening where I just couldn't do anything, and it set me back completely this week. So I unfortunately was unable to record the content that I wanted to, but I'm going to vlog this entire weekend, so I will still have a pretty hearty market vlog out of it. But I'm kind of sad that I didn't get to stay ahead of things. As usual, I'm tagging the night before, and I'm going to rush to make a couple more things because that's just who I am on the night before a market. I am going to try to actually get some sleep. The good news is that I set up my space tonight already, so I already have kind of the bones there. I didn't take my plushies. I like to take those on the actual day of the market. And because it's a 2-day event, I will take all of my plushies down and bring them home and then take them back on Sunday. That's just what I like to do for 2-day events. I don't like leaving them up. I do need to get some kind of covering sheets or something to throw over the table over my display tomorrow night because they recommended it. Although I'm not leaving any plushies, so it might not be a big deal, but it helps differentiate my stuff from the store stock because I am set up right in front of store stock for their Christmas display. So let me actually pop in a little bit of footage. I got some content tonight of me, and as well as my husband. He was there to help me, which I'm very grateful for. My in-laws were able to come over and watch our son so that he could help me set up and make it a very speedy process. It definitely takes less time when I have another helper. So it was very nice to have his help tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and insert a clip now of us setting up tonight. So I am here at the market. I'm about to set up. It's a little bit of a unique setup, but I'm excited to see what we come up with for kind of how we make this work. Okay, so this piece.
Had this conversation more than 10 times. After 9, I still wish you were mine. Haven't ate in 7 days, 'cause I've been
Okay, so we are all set up, and I'm gonna bring my plushies over tomorrow, but it's definitely a unique setup, so let's... Okay, so right here, have a 6 foot. I'm gonna put some medium to large mix here, and then I got these recently, and I tested them out. They fit a lot of my kind of smaller plushies, so I'm gonna do like 10 or 12 and 15, or 15 and 18, and then I have another one over here where I'll do 10 or 12, one of those. So that way I have kind of them sorted by price range. Have my chair. And then I have to leave this little space here. Don't mind my stuff that I'll be taking home, because there's some extra shopping back there, but then they said that I could set up on this side as well. So I have another 6 foot over here. And I did like my typical kind of corner thing, and then my wire cube system here. And I have my lights on that I will add batteries to tomorrow. So there are 2 entrances. One is down that way and one is right there. So I somehow, in them moving me around a couple times, got a pretty prime location, even though it's kind of a weird shape. So I like it. I think it'll be a good setup. I'm excited to bring my plushies tomorrow and see what it all looks like together. But it's kind of cute that I'm like right by this Christmas display behind here. So yeah, I'm excited.
So first of all, don't mind the fact that this background is entirely a mess. I'm feeling a little embarrassed about it, but I am in full chaos gremlin prep mode, and so stuff is everywhere, and that's just gonna be how it is probably for the next 5 weeks until I'm done with the market season for this year. However, it is for a good cause, because I have accomplished several plushies this week despite everything going on. My arm is actually, I got my vaccines yesterday, my flu and COVID boosters, and so my arm is a little sore, but I have been able to crochet. It only hurts if I lift it higher than there. So luckily I've been able to crochet still, because I keep my arms low when I crochet, but I can feel it every time I go to reach for something. So I will try not to make any grimaces as I reach for plushies, but I wanted to show you what I was able to make this week, items that I'm adding to my inventory to lead into the market this weekend. So first I'm going to share a couple of my tried and true, some of my favorite patterns that I just actually love making, so I don't mind making them on repeat, which is usually an issue for me. I don't like making things on repeat. I don't like making small items. I don't like the monotony and tediousness of it, but there are a few patterns that I love, and so absolutely am happy to make regularly. And one of them is these well-known derpy little, I call them derpy frogs, but derpy little sitting frogs. I mean, I'm sure you've seen this one. This is one of my all-time favorite patterns, and people love them. I mean, I don't know how you couldn't. They're so cute. I give them little blush, and I charge $10 for these. They're just always a hit. I made 5 of them. So I have 5 little derpy frogs. The next item is another absolute crowd pleaser. I sell these very well, and I, again, love making them, and that is these chicks with frog hats. And these guys are just one of my absolute favorite patterns. I love making them. They always make me smile. I make them in my Zaddy Crafts yarn, and they come out to a very cute little desk buddy size. I sell these for $12. They sell very well for me at $12. Just because of all the color changing and just different parts and things, I do a little bit more of a price than I do for my frogs. And so I just love having these little guys on my table. So I made 3 more ducks with frog hats. I do have a couple already made that are left over for my inventory from my last market. And so I only wanted to make a couple more to replenish so I can kind of focus and differentiate my stock. So I didn't make more than 3, but I have 3 of those to add to my inventory. Another tried and true pattern before I move into a few new patterns that I made this week, and that is the ever popular axolotl. I have one in blue because I hear the kids love it because of Minecraft, and then one actually made 2 in pink. So I made 3 axolotls. I do have a couple again left over from my last market, and so I didn't want to go too hard on making axolotls. Hopefully they do sell, but sometimes they're hit or miss, and so I didn't want to spend too much time on them, so I only made 3. But I do love making these. Because of the color changes and the additional step of doing the spine, I originally charged $15. I upped these to $16 just because they take a little more time than the items that I charged $15 for. And so I have recently upped these as well as my possums to $16. I think I upped this one. I know I did for my possums for sure for $16s, but I think I did. And so we'll see how these go at $16. They again do take a little more time, and I try to price based on my time and kind of what, especially when there's color changes and like additional details and everything. So I've made 3 axolotls. The next item I made is actually also my first time using the new Parfait plush. I purchased it the day it came out because I wanted to do a yarn review and comparison, and that is coming, I promise. But I really wanted to use it in the interim because I've been staring at it. Of course, I missed the sale in October because I kept waffling on whether I should use it before I filmed the video, and ultimately never got around yet to filming the video, and so I missed the sale, which is sad because I love it. So I made 2 pickles. This is the All From Jade pickle pattern, but I mean, it's a pickle. A pickle is a pickle. There's a million pickle patterns. It's basically just a tube with little bumps added to it, so anyone could design a pickle, but I like Jade's. It's very intentional where she places the mini baubles, and I just like the overall size they come out to. The plush is the perfect yarn and yarn size for it. I think I used I need to check which size I used. It was either a 5 or a 6 for the plush, and I really love the size that it came out. So I'm excited to have these. I actually am hoping tonight to make a couple more of these with the Santa hats that Jade has. There's a modification for hats with the pattern, and so I'm hoping to make a couple of them with the hats and have those on my table as well. The next item I made is another new to me pattern, and it is something that again I hope to make a couple more of these tonight before I head to bed. And that is these Big BB's cats. Honestly, I don't love the loaf cat ultimately. It's not cat-like enough for me. I'm a huge cat lover, so I love how these adorable little cats come out. I made 2 of them so far. Obviously, this one with the color changes took a lot longer, and so I'm thinking I'm going to do 20 for all of them. They are pretty big. I mean, they're the size of my palm. They're a very big cat compared to the mini loaf kittens, which I sold for $15. I feel like these take a lot longer. There's a lot more detail, a lot of different steps for them. So I'm thinking 20, but I want to make a couple more. I'm going to make a tuxedo one for sure with this color changing. So he'll have his little white paws, white chest, and tail tip, and then be black. So I had a tuxedo cat growing up, so I have to do it. But I'm hoping to make a couple more of these tonight, but I absolutely love it. This is definitely my new go-to cat pattern. And then the last item that I have to show is actually a pattern test that I finished up for Shannon Snuggle Beans Crochet. And I absolutely am so excited to have this little guy for my table tomorrow because everybody loves a Highland cow. He is a sploot. This is Huey the Highland. He is the newest. Actually, there are 2 sploots that are coming out with this round of sploots, but he is so cute. The other one is a pig, which I absolutely want to make as well. I love, I don't know. I live in a farm country. I mean, I'm near Lancaster County, which is literally farm country USA. That's where the Amish are. It's a lot of farmlands that I grew up around. And so I feel like farm animals do well around here. So I was very excited that Shannon made a Highland cow sploot. The eyes for this guy, I think it's better on this side, yeah. The eyes for this guy are by Brit Nerdy Girl Crochets, and they are the Leafa eyes from her recent Sword Art Online drop. And I I love them. Like, this is such a stunning green, and the yarn is the Premier Basics Chenille Brights. His hair likes to flop. I didn't want to sew it down because I kind of like that it's like real like floppy hair like the actual cows have. Nonetheless, this is the Basics Chenille Brights, and I did the colors Rust. I think this is oatmeal. I think it's oatmeal for the hooves, and then it's just the basic white for the horns and snout. But the Rust color was such a perfect Highland cow color. Like, I kind of can't get over how perfect that color is. So, absolutely honored to test another sploot for Shannon. They are one of my all-time favorite pattern series, along with Erin's Stitchkins. So it's nice to have these series that I kind of fall in love with and continue to make as they develop the patterns. It's so fun to continue making them, and it's not like a one and done thing because there's so many new patterns coming out for these series each time they come up with new ideas. So I love every time Shannon adds new ones, and I'm so excited to continue making sploots. But yeah, I'm thinking 55. I'm going to do 55 for this guy. Okay, so now I have to get to the process of tagging. I unfortunately took my tripod over to the event space and figured, oh, I could use this weekend, so I'll just leave it here. Not thinking that I actually needed it to record a little bit of content with the tagging process. So I'm not sure I'll be able to, I'll try to see if I can get a good angle to record my tagging process. But in lieu of that, let me just kind of talk through some things that I do. I know in my last video that I uploaded, I talked about my tags and I showed them. I just want to talk a little bit more about that and like my process for actually physically tagging the products and how I do that. So I again showed in my last video, but just in case you didn't see that, I'll do a quick recap. These are my tags. They are printed from Canva. I do pay extra to get the rounded corners. On here I have my logo, the item name, price, and the SKU number because I do input all of my products into Shopify, which is my point of sale and my website system. And so I assign a unique SKU to each product type. And in the future, I hope to use a barcode system, but for now I just use it as an easy way to look up products without having to know their name. And you can just check the SKU, quickly type in a number, and it'll pull up the product on my point of sale system. And I just find that the easiest way until I do move to a barcode system, in which case the SKUs will come in handy as well. And then I always have a mini version of my QR code. I have tested this and it does work to scan this through their phone, even though it's tiny. So I figure every person who takes this home will have my information. It leads to my link tree, and that allows them to access all of my information and contact me if they would like to. And on the back is my PA registration number and just a Made with Love in Camp Hill, PA. If you want to know anything more about the PA registration number, watch my last video. But for now, then I have two tag types. One that is for anything using safety eyes, which is this tag, and then one that is just for embroidered eyes, which doesn't have the safety eye warning. So I use those for all of my items over $10. And what I do is I take my hang tag, stick it through the holes on the tags. If I haven't punched the holes yet on the tags, I will do that with this hole punch. And then I use a finishing needle. That's not gonna show. Come on. There we go. I use a finishing needle, which is a needle that's just fully open, which is the best way I've found to be able to fit because it opens wide, to fit my hang tag through. And then I can put it into one of the stitches on my plushie and fish it up through another stitch if you so I usually do like 3 to 4 away so that it's not pulling on the stitches because it's a wide area that they're across. It's not like one stitch that's getting pulled up by the tag. And that's it. And then I obviously close off the plastic part of the tag so that it can be very secure. So that is how I tag. For items that I already have in my point of sale system, I will go ahead and go into Shopify and just update the the number available so that I have the right number, a quantity of product in my system. For anything that's a new item, I have to create a new SKU number, etc. for it. So it takes a little more steps. So the cats, the pickles, and Huey are new items, and then all of my recent pattern tests. So I'm going to have to create a lot of new item listings on my point of sale on my website tonight as part of the tagging process, which is why I always kick myself for waiting until the night before. But it's just something in me that's like, I just need to make product and then I will do the tagging. Inevitably, I get down to, it's 10 p.m. on the Friday night before 2-day weekend market, and I need to make sure I get some sleep. So I'm going to get started on tagging. Oh, real quick, while I'm talking about tagging, the other type of tag I use for the $10 items, and it was for $5 items too, I've decided I'm not going to do $5 items for now. It's just, mostly I was just doing the gummy bears for $5. I think I'm going to transition to those being on keychains. I don't like making them, so I don't want to make quantity of $5 items just for the sake of being able to make sales at that small number. Because yes, they do sell, but at what cost to my joy? I hate making the gummy bears. At least I do in the yarn that I use for them now, which is the Premier Basic Chenille. So maybe I would like it in the Premier Plush. So I might have to try making a few of them in the plush and see if I enjoy the process more. But nonetheless, I still think I want to make those as keychains only, and just not have a $5 bin, because the other items I had in the $5 bin were items that I want to use for keychains, which is all of Crochet with Kelsey's mini claw machine creatures. I want to use those for keychains, and I'm going to do an embellished keychain with some beads and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to making those. I won't have them for this market weekend unless I whip some up tomorrow night, but I will have them for my markets following that, because it's one of the big priorities that I want to do, because I really think it will be a cute idea to have on my table. But anyway, with these little tags, again, I just slot the end of the tag through, and I'll show you on this little guy. So I will go through one of the stitches. It's going to focus on my face. One of the stitches here on the back. And then, as you can see, I go through several stitches over again, so it's not pulling up on just one or two stitches. And then I will pull through, there it is, the end. And make sure I take my finishing needle off, because I don't want to attach that and then have to cut the tag, because I attached my needle to the product as well. And then, as you can see, it goes across several stitches, so it's not pulling on anything, and I have my tag on there, and then I'll just sit it under his little butt so that the safety information is on there. But I am going to use actually these chalkboard signs that I got at Michael's this week with a chalk marker, and just write a $10 sign that I'm going to use on the display for these $10 items. I'm going to focus in on getting all of these tagged, and because I do need to work on my computer and get them into the system, it's probably best that I don't try to finagle a way to be able to use my camera. So I'm not going to record the tagging process, but I think I gave a pretty good overview of how I do that. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. I absolutely will answer anything and everything that you want to know about how I do my tagging process. And I also have linked in my Amazon storefront these hang tags. I use Canva for my tags, not sponsored at all, but I love the quality of their print. I have never had an issue where the items come to me and the print job is of poor quality so far. I also, I think I got this at Michael's. It's just like a tiny pinhole hole punch. And the finishing needles I also got on Amazon, which are also linked down below. Again, if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm going to go ahead and focus in on getting these items tagged so I can make a few more things tonight before I head to bed. The next clip will probably be me saying hi to you in the morning as I head over to the market. It's market day. I just loaded up my car and I'm about to leave my house to head over to the market. It is about 8:30 a.m. The market starts at 10. because I already have the bones of everything set up, I only need a little bit of time to get all of my plushies on the display. So I don't have to head over there as early as I do sometimes for markets, which was actually nice because I stayed up in typical Ali fashion entirely too late. So I slept probably like 4 or so hours and then had to get up and shower and get ready and get everything else in my car. So we are heading out. I'm looking forward to today. We will see how this goes, and if this is a market I would love to do next year. I'm looking forward to having a list of markets that I actually enjoy doing. So let's get going. Okay, I'm walking in. I'm gonna show you this cute place. This is where I'll be today. Friends, I'm all set up. I'm going to take a little video of my setup. They just came by and said that people are actually lining up at the door, so. I almost forgot to do the special chair moment.
Wow, these are so
Thank you.
a little chicky. I don't know. I'm starting to
It depends on the make. The little ones take like 30 minutes to an hour. Wow. The bigger ones can take longer. So like this guy took 4.5 hours. I think that one took like 6. I tried to write it on there. 8 hours. This one took 8 hours.
tail with a dragon?
Yes, it is. Yeah. But I made it a sunflower theme, so.
Oh, that's excellent.
Thank you.
What is the event today? What's this called?
It's holiday. I forget what she called it. Holiday open house, I think.
Holiday open house?
Yeah, I think that's what she.
Look at these. These are cute.
Yeah, holiday open house. Hi, thank you. Hi. Aw.
So cute.
Me too. I always said I before I crocheted one, I wasn't sure if they were cute, and now I'm like, they're cute. I think they're so cute. You did? That's awesome.
My uncle was out jogging and Mama Possum had got hit by a car and the little baby was just kind of squeaking around.
Oh my gosh, I would absolutely want to save it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. At first I thought he handed me a mouse. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with it?
A mouse, yeah.
And it was a baby possum and he was off. He got huge.
Oh my gosh,
Lived in
that's
our
so
chicken
cool.
coop. Come in every afternoon when I got home from school and I licked the cat food plates clean.
That's amazing childhood. Oh my gosh.
them.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Can I get it?
Oh yeah, oh, absolutely. Oh.
Don't forget about it though. All right, I won't remember it.
It doesn't exist, but you'll look at it every day. Do you want to do a cash or card?
Card.
Okay. I might edit it on here. It's $16.96 after tax. And you can just, yeah, whenever you're ready, you can tap.
I gotta first find it.
Oh yeah, no worries at all. Do you want a bag?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You a bag? Yeah. All right, you are all set to go then.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Have a good rest of your day. Thank you. So I haven't gotten to do many check-ins at all. Honestly, it's been extremely steady, but also a lot of very much looking. I have only sold basically small items today, which of course I didn't make enough because I hate making small items. So I'm selling out of things. I'm gonna have to rush and make some stuff tonight, but at least I exceeded the booth fee, which is always a plus. It was so cheap for this one that was easy to do in my first transaction, but nonetheless, I am here for another 2 hours, and then I'm gonna put some sheets over my stuff and head home, and then come back tomorrow for another 10 to 4 day. Okay, it is the end of day 1. I am sorry that I didn't record as much content today. It was a steady flow of people, so I just didn't want to interrupt as they were shopping, but I will definitely cover everything in my review. I just wanted to show my end of day 1. I did restock several items on the table, and I'm running very low on smalls, so I'm gonna have to make some things tonight for sure. And so there are a couple things I had left I could put out, but I'm getting low on stock. Okay, they opened the doors a few minutes early, so I'm feeling a little discombobulated, but I got everything set up. So I'm going to quickly show my booth. There's people walking around, so it'll be a little quick. I put Huggy with his arm up. Hello. Okay, they turned off the Christmas music so I can actually record. I don't feel like researching which Christmas songs are legal, so I didn't want to record too much during the actual market because the music was kind of loud, but I'm just going to go ahead and show you the after, and then I'm going to pack up. I'm pretty tired after this 2-day weekend. Today was honestly very slow, not my favorite, and I always feel more tired when it's a slow day because I'm just kind of sitting here crocheting and don't have people to talk to and keep me kind of going. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the end of day booth, and then I'm going to pack up. I restocked a lot in these, and I made several of these today and last night. So this one, pretty much everything that I had here is gone except one opossum and one Clover the cow. All the the pigs are gone, and I forget what else I had on here right now, but everything else is gone from here. So I moved over Remy the rat and an axolotl and a chick just to fill out this little stand. So and then here I took away the long trough one because I sold so much out of it yesterday that I didn't have enough left to fill it out. So definitely a lot of small stuff gone after yesterday. Still have all my big guys. I didn't sell anything big today. But usually I sell at least one large item. So it was honestly a little bit sad to not have that, but it's okay. Alright, well,
that's a wrap for the Ashcombe holiday open house. So I'm going to go ahead and pack up. As you could probably tell from the clips over the weekend, I had a fairly steady Saturday, and then for Sunday it was very slow. I found that most of the people walking in to the marketplace were older, and while a lot of them gave very kind compliments, they mostly were not there to purchase something like I was offering. And I always say that plushies and crochet and everything is for everyone, and that I really do believe that even these older populations could benefit from a cute plushie. Looking at them from their mantel place or their couch or wherever, I obviously can't change people's opinions on them as they're walking by. So there are a few things. I have seen my friend Erin from the Crochet Carpenter put up a sign that essentially says that plushies are for everyone. I have to get the exact verbiage that he used. I'll put it up here. But I thought that sign was really a great idea because it is something that I say a lot on here and in general, but it's not something that I'm putting out to everyone at my crochet booth unless they come up and directly talk to me, in which case I have said it to many people at my booth that I really do sell to every age and for every age, and I've had people of all ages enjoy what I've created and use it in their homes or give it to a friend or whatever. So I think I might consider doing something like that. I actually have a lot of different signs that I'd like to include in my booth, and I have to be careful because I don't want to overwhelm with the signs and information. I don't want some of my more important signs to get lost in the shuffle, such as my safety eye warning sign, so that everyone purchasing plushies for any children under 3 are aware of the safety hazards for using any of the ones that are embroidered eyes. I don't want that sign to get lost in the shuffle of some of my more informational signs. I've been considering like a Meet the Maker sign, which I do have in my little shop where I sell, but I just don't want to inundate or overwhelm with signage. So I'm still figuring it out. I do feel like this first year of markets has really helped me to get an idea of what I want my booth to look like. I've loved the setup that I've been using for some time, but one thing I really don't like is that it's hard for me to grab my bags sometimes depending on how I set things up because I don't have shelving, something with shelving available. I have to use the back of one of my crates. And because of that, I have actually chosen to invest in a handmade wooden kiosk that is on Etsy. I got the idea from my friend Christine from What's Up Cupcake. I put her handle here. Please go follow her. She's also on YouTube. I'm sure you've probably heard of her. She makes amazing crochet content and videos, and all of her work is beautiful. So highly recommend her channel. But I have been looking for one of these for some time, and she had one at her recent booth setups, and so I asked her where she purchased it, and it was from a seller on Etsy. So I went ahead and made that investment in my business. After this weekend, I had earned enough to justify it. I'll go through the numbers later. It wasn't a smash success weekend, but it was enough to pay for that. So I'm excited to add that to my setup because it'll allow me a place for my, I've shown, I think in the past, I keep my iPad on kind of a swiveling kiosk stand thing, and so it'll allow me to have that on there, my card reader, and then it has shelving underneath so I can have bags and other items under there. And so I'm looking forward to having that as a little more of an accessible area to be able to work into my setup. And again, I want to keep evolving. There are some other things I'd like to add, like a pegboard, but that's another investment, especially if I get one handmade, which I would prefer to pay a handmade artisan and continue to support my fellow artists, even if it costs a little more. I really want to get one of those hanging signs that stick out from the top of the booth with your logo. I have seen, again, Aaron made his own. He's obviously a little more adept at in carpentry and just like skills with all of that. And he also built his own checkout stand because of that. But I don't have the time and mental energy to do that. So I'd rather save the money and pay for someone to make something like that. And I did find a local artist in Lancaster County that hand makes signs. And so that's something that I'm planning to invest on in the future as well. But all of that to say, I definitely feel like there are some things that I want to improve with the way I do my inventory. And this is something that I have been really chewing on since the market over the weekend. One thing that I have done poorly since my first market last year on December 4th is forcing myself to make in quantity a lot of small items. Last year for that first market on December 4th, I had very little by way of small items. I had probably just a few items on the table. I had a collection of whales and octos, and I had some like mini sea turtles, and there's a couple more small items that were like 15 and under. So that market was eye-opening for me because there was another crocheter there, and all she made pretty much her entire booth was small items. And she told me after the market that she sold like 1 million loaf cats, and I only had one loaf cat. It did sell, but I didn't love making it, so I didn't spend my time on that for that market. And I found that as I've continued doing markets, I did increase the volume of those small items that I offer, and I have a variety of items that I like to make in the 10 to 20 price range, but I haven't expanded that variety too broadly, and I don't make as much as I should if I'm trying to just go to make money. And this is where I'm mentally struggling a little bit, because I consider myself an artisan, and I'm not saying that those small pieces aren't also the art of crochet, but I don't find that making them gives me joy and makes me feel like I am producing artisan level or quality makes. I mean, I'm not going to get into a fine art show with tiny tchotchke makes, that it's just clear that they're not art in the way that I'm talking about. I prefer to make the pieces where I'm adding embellishments, I'm crocheting a mushroom and adding moss and details and taking time and care. But that time and care and those bigger makes cost a higher price point. I'm spending additional hours to add things like the embroidery to the derpy tiger. That took me 2 to 3 hours just for the embroidery. The tiger pieces, it took several hours as well, so I have to charge a higher price point for him. And I found myself explaining that over and over over the weekend, that just the embroidery alone took hours when people kind of gawked at the price tag for him, because I have to pay myself fairly. I wouldn't, at my age, at my level of expertise, at the quality and care I put into my work, I'm not going to undersell myself. I'm not going to pay myself less than I deserve. I mean, I kind of already do. I try to fall around $15 an hour and then add in material costs. So I generally kind of keep to that. But for some bigger makes, I lower that cost per hour. And for artisan level quality, you shouldn't be paying yourself the minimum wage of your area. And it's just kind of a sad thing about selling at markets. And depending on where you're located, you might have to undersell yourself simply because people will not pay what you're worth. And it's honestly just a very sad part of selling at markets, because I love making, as you've seen in my last few videos, if you've watched them, and if not, please do catch up with them, because I showed a lot of really fun makes that I enjoyed, but they were all kind of medium to large. And so I found that in filling my table with those pieces, which I have done historically, the right person has to find them to purchase them. You're not going to get an impulse buy unless it's something they absolutely cannot walk away from. Someone's not going to impulse buy a $65 item or higher. It's just unlikely, especially given what's happening with our economy and vital programs being cut and health insurance going up. I mean, from a personal standpoint, I'm going to be paying $10,000 more a year for my health insurance. So I get it that people might not want to spend for that artisan level quality work as much as they love it. Obviously people are still complimenting, they're loving it, they're enjoying it. They're enjoying the experience of looking at it and talking to me about my work, but their ability to spend that money might not exist. And so their ability to spend $5, $10, $15, even $20 would be a little more feasible. And so it's an internal battle that I'm struggling with, because I obviously want to make money, but I also want to love what I'm doing. And so I'm trying to find patterns that I enjoy making on repeat for those small items. I'm trying to meet people where they are and understand that my larger makes are meant for someone, and they'll find me and they will find it eventually. And they always do. I mean, I sold my puppy dragon, as you saw in a recent video. I've sold all of my favorite large pieces. One of them I'll talk about today. They've always sold eventually, whether on their first time out or their 20th time out. Okay, I have not had that many markets, but you get my point. Whether on their first time out or further down the line that I put them out every market, and eventually the right person finds them and purchases them. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like I just went on a complete tangent, but perhaps anyone out there who's a crocheter and watching this video, you understand where I'm coming from. It's a hard place to be. And some people just like making small things and their whole table is small items because that's what they enjoy. You know, they live for the $30 and under makes. They want something quick. They want those quick dopamine hits. But for me, I would love to spend time making a 6-hour dragon compared to making, 12 to 15 little items that take me 30 minutes or so. So that's what I'm struggling with right now. And I'll talk about that a little more in this week's vlog as I go through the list of things that I'm trying to market prep and really narrow it down, because truth be told, I've, as usual, made a list that's entirely impossible. I do not have enough hours in the next week and a half to make all of the items that I put on that list. So I'll talk about that in this week's vlog, but I really was feeling this weekend. And so I'm going to go through all of my sales. I sold I had 27 sales and I sold 37 items. And out of those items, I found that most of them were $28 and under items. And so I spent a lot of my time at the market whipping up other small items, usually the $10 to $15 range. I think that's all I made, actually. I made one $20 item on Sunday, but I realized as I saw the sales coming in that people were really, more than ever, focused on those small items for this market. And so we'll see. We'll see how my booth evolves. We'll see what direction I decide to go in for this. I don't want my business to not represent me. One thing that I do love is that anyone who comes by my booth says, wow, your booth is so much different than any other crochet booth I ever see at these events. Like, you have unique things, you have such creative things, and I'm not trying to give myself a compliment there by telling you that that's what people say, but it does mean something to me that people notice that my booth stands out. However, if that doesn't translate to sales, I have to start questioning the pivot. And obviously another thing I love is that when there are other crocheters at events, and there were 2 others at this one of them was my friend Lindsay, it creates healthy competition. And so it helps me to recognize that I am going to continue to be at events with other crocheters. And so I need to continue to develop my smaller items because those are what's selling. And if someone can't get a small item at my booth, then the likelihood that they will purchase a big item alongside it or remember me or take my card is lower. So I need to just kind of figure out that path and what I want to do. Okay, because there were only 27 sales and 37 items, I figured I would go through and just tell you what sold. And then I will tell you what my bestsellers were, what I found that I had to keep making because of them selling out, and my big wins and kind of stories about what happened during both of these days. So like I said, the market opened at 10 a.m. on Saturday morning. Before they even opened the doors, the gentleman that was helping coordinate at the front end of the market, which is where I was located, let me know that there was a line at the door. And at first I thought he was joking. And he said, no, there is literally a line at the door. So they open the doors and people start just kind of flooding the space. There were several entrances that people could go. They could go around a back area, or they could come through the area that was directly walking towards my booth. And so that was kind of nice because I feel it did split the traffic and kind of make it a kind of an even experience for all of the vendors, because obviously I want everyone to make sure they're seen. So it was nice to know that people were walking in all different directions. And so I made my first sale somewhat quickly, and that was for an axolotl and a pocket frog. So those are 2 of my favorite things that I like to have on my table, and they sell pretty reliably. So I sell my axolotls for $16 because they do require some color changing, and also they are made in Zadie Crafts yarn, which is a little more expensive of a yarn to use. And so I charge a little bit more than I do for some of my other items. And then for my pocket frogs, which I also call derpy frogs, I charge $10. The next sale was for another popular item, which is the little duck in a frog hat. I sell these often. I sell them for $12, and along with that, they bought another pocket frog. The next sale was for 4 items. They bought the possum that I like to make for $16, another pocket frog, another little duck in a frog hat, and my very first debut of this item, which is what I call in my system a chonky cat, but it's the cat from Big Bébés. So it is a more realistic cat. Honestly, the loaf cat, number one, it's not my favorite. I don't love doing the amount of rounds over and over again, repetitive rounds, and just making that like little loaf shape. No judgment to those who love it, no slight on the pattern designer, but I personally love something that looks a little more fun, a little more realistic. So you can see it up here, but this cat is absolutely adorable. I loved making it. It takes a little longer than the loaf kitten and a little less time than the big loaf cat and Bernat that I make, which I charge $25 for. So I priced these at $20 because they do take close to an hour or over an hour, especially the ones with color changes. I had a tuxedo one and one like the one I'm showing in the picture, which is gray and white. And then I had a a mystical line one in the one that's kind of like a brownish variegated. So I had that one, and throughout the weekend they all eventually sold. But this one, the first one that sold, was the mystical line one. And then next I sold the mushroom, which is Millie Red Mills Crochet free flower pattern that I have modded to be a little mushroom guy. It's smaller than the chonky mushroom guy, so I can sell it for a little less. It's a $12 item. And I sold another chonky cat. So pretty close back to back, I sold those cats, which tells me that number one, the price point of $20 is a good price point, especially given how the weekend went and how many small items people were buying. And number two, that people love this pattern as much as I do, and they see how cute it is. And then throughout the morning, I was adding to my inventory, and one thing that I created that was new to me was I made the capybara from Robin Sweet Beans Crochet pattern, and I put that out for $12, and it sold pretty close after I had put it out, along with one of my tarantulas from Dee Dee's Plushies. She calls it a tarantula. Some other pattern designers that have a similar design call it a jumping spider. We can just call it a spider, I guess. So I sold one of we'll just keep saying tarantulas. And so that was a transaction. And then I sold my first Pen the Pig. This was a very popular pattern by the end of the weekend. This is his first time out at my market booth, and I was glad that I made 4 of them because they definitely got a lot of love. A lot of people thought they were adorable, and so I sold my first one on Saturday. And then the next sale was actually for 4 items, and it was a little duck in a frog hat. Oh, I sell my Pen the Pig the regular size, not in the demi pearl, for $15, by the way. The transaction for 4 items was a little duck in a frog hat, a pocket octo, another capybara, I whipped up another one, and a pocket whale. So again, all small items, 12.10, 12.10 basically. The next few transactions were just purchases of 1 item each. I sold a chunky mallard duck for $15. I sold another pocket frog for $10. And then I sold my big sale of the entire weekend, her first time out, Elowen, the Guardian, and I was so happy. This young preteen aged, maybe early teens kiddo saw Elowen and immediately they wanted it. They were so excited. They told the adult that was with them that they absolutely needed it. The adult appeared to be probably grandma, and grandma let them know that if they wanted to get it, it would be a Christmas present, and they were down for that. They wanted it no matter what. They were so excited, and so they purchased Elowen. I had her priced at $72. She did take me quite some time and all of her detail work. First time out and she sold, and it really tells me my forest makes, there's something that I love making, and they always sell. So I have a feeling that something that I will also do more of is, as I'm making my bigger items, to kind of keep it to doing themes and embellishments that I love, because I know that other people like those as well. So first time out, and Elowen went home, and I actually got a comment on her picture the next day. I'm going to see if I can insert it here, but it was so sweet. It was from, again, I assume it was Grandma, telling me that the child slept with the Elowen the night before, so clearly didn't keep to the wait until Christmas rule, which I wouldn't have been able to either. One thing about gift giving for me is that I struggle to not immediately give the gifts to people. I think it's one reason I actually procrastinate gift buying, because I don't like holding on to them, because I want them to have it right away. So it was such a sweet comment to receive though on her photo. And just know that something I put a lot of time and passion into went home with someone who was going to love it. And again, this is where I struggle, because those are the interactions. I don't get emails about someone who bought a $10, frog. I don't get emails from someone who took home a small otter. I get those messages about the pieces that I put passion and time into. And I don't know. I just have to figure out a path here, because I cannot stop making these bigger items. They are what give me passion. They are what drive me in this art form. And so anyway, next I sold my mushroom guy, which was a pattern test I did for Dee Dee's plushies. I sold him for $38. And I sold a medium maple chicken, which is what I call the size that I use, I think, a 7mm hook on. Hurts my wrists a little more. I charge a little more for them. They're $16. And then I sold a chunky medium duck for $15 and another tarantula for $12. And then to end out Saturday, I had, actually it was like $3.58 when this, again, I think it was a grandma with two grandchildren with her, and they walked up to the booth. They had stopped in earlier, and then wisely Grandma said, let's look around the whole market and come back if you still want something here. And it's always an honor, especially knowing there are other crochet artists, when they come back to my booth, because it means that they felt a special connection to my work. And I'm sure the other crochet artists had the same experience with people who had different connections with different art pieces. And so it felt good for them to come back. It was already 4 o'clock. I was chatting with my friend Lindsay, and they come over and they spend some time looking through all the pieces. Grandma says to keep it to $20 and under for the ones that they choose. They're going through, she's reading them their prices, letting them know their options. And I'm chatting with Lindsay to give them space. And they come over and they're holding Tank the Dragon, which I make in Premier Basics Chenille Brights, which I charge $28 for that, because it does take like an hour and a half to make. A small otter, which I charge $15 for, and Archie Jr., which I had priced at $30. And that felt good to have another nice size transaction, because other than Elowen, every transaction of the day was $20 and under, which for me honestly is rare. I do usually sell at least a couple more big items during the day, so it felt good to have another at least larger transaction of several items. And I could tell that they really loved the ones that they had picked out. The one child kept going back to Tank, and even though Grandma said $20 and less, and they knew it was $28, they couldn't keep their eyes off of it. So it was so great to have that finish out my day for Saturday. Sunday will be a lot faster to get through, because like I said, it was an extremely slow day. So I started out the day by selling my final Big Bebe's cat, which was a tuxedo cat that I had created in black and white. And that one was really special to me, because my first cat ever growing up was a tuxedo cat, and she will always hold a place in my heart. And so I knew when I was creating those cats that a tuxedo was a must, and I will definitely be making more tuxedos, because it's one of my favorite types of cats after pure black cats. So that one sold first for $20, and then I sold another pen the pig for $15 and a tarantula for $12. And by the way, I only came to the market with one tarantula. I was whipping them up, and the night before, Saturday night after I got home, I made 5 more items. I made a couple ducks and frog hats. I made a couple of the chunky frogs, the derpy frogs, and I made either 1 or 2 of the tarantulas. So I tried to restock throughout the day, and I made them while I was there. So I sold those, and then I sold another tarantula after that for another $12. And I had, I think, 1 left after that, and I didn't sell any more for the rest of the day, but goodness, I was just making those constantly throughout the weekend. Then I sold my last chonky standing dino that I had left from Dee Dee's Plushies. I absolutely need to make more of those. They definitely are popular. And I sold a possum friend for $16, an axolotl for $16, another pen the pig for $15, and then I sold my final pen the pig, which is large. I'm going to make them with a 7mm hook now because the demi pearl really does come out jumbo compared to the Bernat style of the pig, which I call regular size. So I sold that one for $18, and that was actually to my friend Lindsay, who is another crocheter. I'll make sure her handle's up here. Please go give her a follow on Instagram. She's an amazing human, very sweet, so kind, and she tends towards more like fantasy and things like me, so I always adore her makes because she has a similar vibe in what she likes. And then the day had ended. It was 4 p.m. I was starting to gather things behind my table before recording my final clip. I went out, recorded the final clip, stepped back into my kind of setup area where I was going to clean up, and one of the other vendors came up. She had come at the beginning of the day and was eyeing up Huggy Bear and said she might be back for him. Ultimately, she did still want something, but she bought my Christmas kitty, which was a pattern that I made to test out one of Millie's Red Mills Crochet 12 Days of Christmas patterns that she released for her Patreon last year, which was just an insane amount of patterns. I still can't believe she did that. She literally created and released 12 patterns in a short span of time. That Christmas kitty went to another vendor at the market, and I'm so excited that it went home because I love that make. I spent a lot of time on it and getting his details just right. I sold him for $45. So in my final clip that you saw, he is actually still on the shelf because she came over right after I had finished filming that clip. But it was nice to end my day with that sale because it was such a slow day. For Sunday, I have the breakdown. Saturday, I sold $472 worth of items. Sunday, I only sold $189 worth of items. So without her purchase, it would have been under $150 for day 2, which for, what is that, a 6-hour day is not very good. I would have liked to make more than $189 or less a 6-hour event. So I gave you a little bit of a breakdown of the totals, but let's go through it like I normally do. My total base sales for the weekend was $661. My booth fee for the weekend was $30. I'm still so shocked. And it would have been $50 if I had been originally slotted to do a 2-day vendor spot, but which is still super affordable for a 2-day event. So $30 for an entire weekend. I am not upset about that. The Shopify fees were $14.50. And then the extra taxes that I absorb and have to pay because I received about $200 in cash was $11.76. So rounded out, I made for the entire weekend $605. I feel like that was not a terrible weekend. I mean, I'm not gonna be sad about $600. It allowed me to pay several $100s to buy that market kiosk that I can now use to have a sales checkout counter at my markets. And so it allowed me to reinvest into the business. It did mean 14 to 16 hours away from my family, which is always hard to justify if I'm not making as much as I would like to. However, at a $30 booth fee, it did come out to 20 times the booth fee, which, we try to go for around 10 times the booth fee as a mark of success. So given the low booth fee and the the customers at this market, especially on Sunday when it was mostly an older crowd, I feel like it was a success. I enjoyed being there. If I were to do it again, I would probably only do Saturday because Sunday was extremely slow, and maybe that was just this year. Maybe it was the economy. Maybe there was some other event going on Sunday, and usually Sundays are great days. I'm not sure, but nonetheless, I do feel like it was a successful market, and I would consider doing at least one day again next year. A couple of things. Bestsellers were definitely, Pocket Frogs did well on day one. The Chonky Cat pattern, the new Big Bebes pattern that I tried, sold out of all three, so that was obviously a win. The Tarantulas from Dee Dee's Plushies, which I think she sells now, initially was only a pattern that you could receive if you did the Bugling Challenge for her, but I think it might be purchasable now. So if it is, I'll make sure it's linked in my favorite pattern stock under Market Makes. So make sure you check that out. It's a great pattern, pretty quick. I charge $12 and they sell very well. And then the capybaras, I sold pretty much every one that I put out. And Pen the Pig. Pen the Pig was another winner. I made 4 of them and sold all 4. So again, a lot of small makes, and I do feel like the little Duck and the Frog Hat always does well as well. So I feel like I have an idea of what I want to stock up on for my small makes for the upcoming 3 back-to-back markets that I have. And I definitely am trying to get those done and ready so that I can have more to pull from and also not be rushing to make more, especially when I have that 2-day event for the final market that I have, which is across 2 days, the final market of the year. So yeah, I don't know. I'm always experimenting, always growing, always changing. And that's kind of a motto I always live by, is I will never feel like I'm done learning and growing. And I feel like that growth mindset is what will help me continue to improve and change. And I hope that focusing in more on these small items helps me with these last markets for the rest of the year. But I do want to give myself space and time to make the passion projects, to make the things that I know will find their person. Because when someone finds something in my booth that speaks to them and they get so excited, it's usually about those larger makes. So I want to keep making them and have them, but I also want to make sure I make time for some of the smaller things. And I also am working to add things like keychains, which I've kind of been avoiding, but I figured out something cool with those I want to do. And so always developing and changing and improving. The last thing I want to say is that I missed Puppy Dragon. It was sad not having one at this market, and I miss him already, but I hope that he's enjoying his new home, and I'm looking forward to making another one. Given how many small items I need to make, I really need to focus on doing that after this market season and have him ready, have another one ready for next year. I just don't think it's a wise idea to spend the, 12 to 16 hours, however long it would take me at this point in my crochet expertise to create him. I don't think it's worth spending that time right now as much as I want to, because again, I really just want to focus on that. But I'm gonna probably do a little series where I build him for my markets next year as something that I do in this interim season between this final market of this year and my first one of next year. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully you'll stick around and join me on that journey as well. If you enjoyed this video, I would love if you would give me a like and subscribe to my channel so that you can follow along for more crochet content. I also love to respond to comments, so if you had any thoughts during this, anything that you would like to tell me about how things are going for your markets, anything, I would love to hear from you in the comments. I do respond to all of them. I'm going to kick off a little market prep vlog here as I prepare for these 3 back-to-back markets, and I'll of course be taking you along for this journey, so I would love if you would join me, and be sure to hit the bell notification so that YouTube will tell you whenever I upload and I don't get lost in the shuffle of the algorithm. Please also, if you are interested in the things I make and like seeing photos of them, follow me over on Instagram. I set a goal for myself at the beginning of this year to hit 5,000 followers on Instagram, and I'm about 300 away from that. I don't know if it's feasible by the end of the year. I'm not a pattern designer, so I don't get large masses of following when I design a cool new pattern. And so my follower count kind of is a slow trickle over the last few years. But if you're not following me over there and you like my content, I would love if you would follow along with me on Instagram. I'm gonna go start cracking on my list for these upcoming markets. So until the next time, bye!